I was thinking about bad judgment and the things that reinforce it, or the things that the outside forces and the inside forces that prevent bad judgment from being addressed. And I was thinking outside sources. I remember skiing, and I had this thing. I used to ski constantly, and this thing I do when if I wrecked, I'd stay still for a little bit and just kind of check in with my body. And then I'd sit up and check in with my body again. And then I'd think about the choices I made that led up to the wreck and wonder if I'd made a mistake. And during one of these times, actually a lot of times, people would ask me if I'm okay, and I'm saying, just fine. Thanks for checking. I appreciate that. Except this one particular time, ski patrol came up, and sometimes it was ski patrol too. And I'm like, yeah, doing good. Just kind of like getting my head together before I get back up, all right? And this one guy's like, hey, well, if you're okay, you should get right back up. And I'm like, well, no, if I might just sit here for a moment and make sure I'm okay. And he's like, no, that it looks like you hurt yourself, and so I have to come over and check that out. And I'm like, well, you know what? That strikes me as your job. And you've come and checked me out. I told you I'm fine, and I don't want my balls busted. Thank you. And it occurred to me, like, so what he was trying to encourage me to do is, like, I fall down, I smack my face into the ground. He wanted me to get right back up on skis and try to go downhill again, or just stand up. And I'm like, he's trying to, like, basically, to me, that strikes me as bad judgment. But to him, that made sense because it prevents him from having to ski across. Oh, no, he had to ski over. And ask me if I'm okay. But I think that might happen a lot in life. That something happens and people are like, well, your judgment led you to this calamity, and all we're really worried about is getting this calamity from interfering with the rest of us. But that might be the same thing that happens inward. Like another example of mine, I used to drink a couple beers, and I'd be leaving comments on my second beer, and I realized, oh man, I'm leaving drunk comments. And so I made an inner rule with myself, like after my first beer, I'm just watching. And I can imagine that leading to, like, my inner self is like, oh, well, I kind of like my snarky, slightly drunk comments. And then, like, sometimes I'll watch some of the people that I like to troll, and I'm like, oh, I've had 2 beers, man, I'm going to troll you so hard. So, like, really, I've gone against my better judgment, but I benefit from that because it lets me do the thing I want to do. Actually, that kind of reminds me of a friend of mine that she used to go home with all these guys. Well, actually, she wouldn't go to their homes, which was the problem. And then these relationships would go all awry, and she'd be like, oh, woe is me. And I'm like, how about make this rule? It's like the 1 beer rule. Maybe kiss a little bit, but not much. If you're going to make out heavy or anything more than that, at least have seen their bathroom. And she didn't get the rule until she tried to enact it. And no guy wanted to bring her home. Probably because they had a girlfriend at home or a wife at home. They wanted to make out with this girl they met at the bar, text her a few times, and then never see her again. But she did not keep the bathroom rule. She just couldn't believe that guy after guy after guy would do that. And she didn't want to find out if that was the case or not by maintaining that we can't go any further until I've seen your home. Because that, whether she believed it or not, like, I think she wanted, like, a husband, someone to look after her kids. She wanted to be in a relationship. But I kind of think, barring that, she liked making out with guys. And she maybe she did it under the pretend desire, maybe a real desire that wasn't as heartfelt as she purported it to be, because sometimes a lady just wants to have a makeout session after a couple drinks. So, I don't know. Bad judgment. Sometimes I think bad judgment is for some people is kind of like a good thing. Like they like it. Hey, Kila.